The cameras flashed. The crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession. The ring was finally out in the open.
Yeah, it was the moment, everyone was waiting for, captured in this single dazzling frame. But what we saw was really only the surface of a much deeper, incredibly orchestrated illusion.
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And we have quite the story today.
Oh, absolutely. Today we are looking at the ultimate modern magic trick. We are breaking down the heavily guarded Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce wedding timeline and, exploring how the two most famous people on Earth managed to hide a sprawling, monumental event basically in plain sight.
It is a fascinating timeline to unpack precisely because of how tightly they controlled their own narrative in an era of, extreme 24/7 surveillance.
So let's set the stage for you. We're taking you back to July 10th, 2026. The newlyweds make their very first public appearance since tying the knot.
Right, and they actually delayed their own honeymoon for this.
Yeah, to fly out to California. The occasion was the wedding of Travis's former Kansas City Chiefs teammate, JuJu Smith-Schuster, and Laura Kruk. Now, the photos of this appearance, they were instantly everywhere. Taylor is wearing this strapless, pink floral brocade gown by Markarian.
Which is a brilliant choice, by the way. Brocade is this rich woven fabric with a raised pattern, so it feels very classic, almost royal, but the floral print keeps it appropriate for a summer guest look.
Right.
It's elegant, but it's not trying to upstage the bride. And of course, Travis is in a really sharp-fitted black suit.
Yeah, but I think we could both agree that nobody was actually looking at the suit or the dress.
No, not at all.
Everyone was instantly zooming in on their hands. We finally got a look at the new wedding bands, but what really stopped the internet in its tracks was that massive engagement ring. I know the internet has been throwing around crazy estimates, but what are we actually looking at here?
Well, we are looking at a masterclass in personalized historical jewelry. The ring was custom designed by Kindred Lubeck, who is the founder of Artifacts Fine Jewelry, and the centerpiece is an old mine, brilliant cut diamond.
Okay, hold on. What exactly does old mine cut mean? Because I hear these jewelry terms thrown around, and it just sounds like it was dug up a long time ago.
It's a great question, actually. An old mine cut is an antique style of cutting diamonds that dates back to the 1700s and 1800s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, unlike modern diamonds that are, cut with lasers for maximum blinding sparkle under electric lights, old mine cuts were shaped by hand. They were meant to sparkle specifically in dim candlelight.
Yeah, so romantic.
Exactly. They have a deeper pavilion and a slightly different geometry. It tells us he wanted something timeless and deeply romantic, not just, a flashy modern rock. It's a rectangle cut, and it's bezel set in a yellow gold band.
Bezel set, meaning the metal wraps completely around the edge of the diamond, right? Instead of just sitting up high on little prongs.
You got it. A bezel setting is incredibly secure. It protects the edges of the stone from chipping.
So she can play a 3-hour stadium show without snagging a multi-million-dollar diamond on a sequin bodysuit.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense. And the band itself has these really intricate filigree engravings all over the sides. The story that leaked out is that Taylor had shown him a video of a ring she liked, ages ago, and he remembered the specific designer, which he apparently called a total flex.
Which really tells us a lot about the foundation of their relationship. It's highly publicized, yes, but deeply attentive at its core. And that tension between the quiet, attentive moments and their loud, stadium-sized public lives is exactly what brings us to the very confusing rumors surrounding the actual wedding timeline.
I am so glad you brought this up because I'm looking at these timelines and honestly, I am confused. We all saw the headlines about the monumental Madison Square Garden event on July 3rd. But there are credible reports from Des Moines claiming that weeks before the MSG spectacle, there was a completely different, completely secret ceremony in Rhode Island. Are we saying they literally had two separate weddings?
That is exactly what the reports suggest. And the details leaking out about this rumored Rhode Island ceremony are incredibly specific.
Like what?
Well, it's said to have been highly private, much smaller, and featured a recreation of the set from her Love Story music video.
Right. The rumor is she literally crossed a physical bridge to an island to reach the altar. And she walked down the aisle to an instrumental Bridgerton-inspired string version of her own song, Love Story.
Yeah.
But I have to ask you about the logic of this. To me, Doing a secret acoustic ceremony and then throwing a $30 million arena party weeks later feels like, I don't know, releasing an intimate indie album right before dropping a massive stadium pop record.
That's a great analogy, actually.
Right. But if they really pulled this off, how does a couple of this magnitude manage to keep the real wedding completely off the grid while the whole world is watching them?
Well, if we look at the psychology of extreme fame, it is a brilliant strategy for survival. When you are the most famous couple on the planet, your private life is a commodity that, everyone feels entitled to. By having a secret ceremony in Rhode Island, they reclaim their intimacy.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that quiet acoustic ceremony was solely for them. The Madison Square Garden event, on the other hand, was a celebration of their cultural status. You satisfy the public's insatiable appetite with a grand spectacle, and that spectacle acts as a giant, glittering smokescreen.
That's the ultimate misdirection. You give the paparazzi a $30 million light show so they don't go looking for the quiet garden ceremony in Rhode Island.
Precisely.
It's like hiding your vault code by putting a giant flashing billboard in front of the bank. And speaking of that flashing billboard, if you were wondering how they turned Madison Square Garden into an impenetrable fortress, you will not want to miss this next part. And hey, if you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
Because the logistics of the Madison Square Garden event are genuinely unprecedented.
No, completely.
The level of control required to pull off a private event in a venue that normally hosts 20,000 screaming sports fans, it just boggles the mind.
Let's set the stage, because the sheer scale of this is staggering.
Mm-hmm.
July 2nd, so the night before the big MSG event, they host a rehearsal dinner for 100 of their closest friends and family at the Infosys Theater, which was catered by Sartianos.
Right.
Guests are handed these gorgeous black velvet boxes etched with TNT for Taylor and Travis. And inside, diamond-adorned champagne flutes resting on frayed fabric printed with their engagement photo.
It's a masterclass in high-end personalization, setting a very specific tone before the main event. But the real feat was the security operation the next day.
Oh, absolutely.
To pull off a secret wedding at Madison Square Garden requires military-level precision.
That is no exaggeration. It was basically a pop-up branch of the CIA. I was reading about the security protocols, and they had strict non-disclosure agreements for literally everyone. I mean, guests, staff, vendors, and there was a strict no-phone policy.
Which is standard for celebrity weddings, but they went further?
So much further. They didn't just take people's phones and ask nicely. At the entrance, guests were actively scanned for hidden cameras. They were checking people for Meta smart glasses.
Which is a crucial detail. Meta smart glasses look exactly like normal classic Ray-Ban sunglasses, but they have a tiny, almost invisible camera built into the frame that can live stream directly to social media.
That's terrifying for a private event.
Right. When your guests are some of the most famous people on Earth, you aren't just fighting traditional paparazzi and helicopters anymore. You are fighting the ubiquitous nature of wearable technology. Anyone could accidentally or intentionally leak a moment. So they created an absolute fortress inside that arena to counter that specific modern threat.
And they completely transformed the inside of that fortress.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden is a concrete sports arena, but they turned it into a literal lush forest with white seating for 1,000 guests.
Wow.
And outside, a heavy rainstorm is pounding New York City. The fans standing outside the barricades immediately interpreted the rain as a sign of good luck.
The visual contrast must have been striking. You have a quiet, enchanted forest built inside a concrete arena while a storm rages outside. And then there is the fashion, which represents a major milestone in the haute couture world.
Yes, you are talking about the Christian Dior haute couture. Both the bride and groom wore custom Dior. Jonathan Anderson, the creative director, designed the looks. And apparently this was a huge deal for him. He did an interview saying he and Taylor became very good friends during the process. But why is Jonathan Anderson doing this considered such a seismic event in the fashion world?
Well, because Jonathan Anderson is known as one of the most avant-garde, intellectually rigorous designers working today. This was his very first couture wedding dress for a world-renowned celebrity.
Oh, wow, his first.
Yes, his first. Entrusting him with arguably the most scrutinized garment of the decade is a huge leap of faith. It shows a desire to push boundaries rather than just wearing a traditional safe silhouette. And she paired it perfectly with custom Christian Louboutin shoes and Cartier jewelry.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You're telling me they're wearing museum-grade custom Dior, shutting down an arena, bringing in a literal forest, and the officiant of the ceremony is Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that's right.
That gives me absolute stylistic whiplash. How does that make sense?
I know it sounds like a contradiction, but it's actually a brilliant grounding choice. When you have an event with 1,000 A-list guests, custom Dior, and extreme security, the atmosphere can easily become stiff or sterile.
True, it could feel like a corporate gala.
Exactly. Having Adam Sandler officiate instantly cuts through the tension. It grounds the grandeur of the event in genuine friendship and humor. They read 20-minute vows to each other from golden books. It was a highly theatrical yes, but Sandler's presence ensures it remains incredibly warm and personal.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it completely subverts expectations. Just like their bridal party. They didn't have 20 traditional bridesmaids or groomsmen. It was just Taylor's brother, Austin Swift, as her man of honor, and Travis's brother, Jason Kelce, as his best man.
Keeping it entirely in the family.
Exactly. And the flower girls were Jason and Kylie Kelce's kids. But I have to talk about the exit, because this is my favorite detail. At the rumored Rhode Island ceremony, she walks to an acoustic love story. But at MSG, after Adam Sandler pronounces them husband and wife, they walk back up the aisle to the song I Believe in a Thing Called Love by the rock band The Darkness.
It's so good.
They're loud, it involves screaming electric guitars, and it is so wonderfully over the top.
It really is the perfect sonic representation of their dual narrative. Love Story is Taylor's history, right? It's acoustic, it's nostalgic, it's deeply private. The Darkness track is explosive, joyful, and entirely public. It's an embrace of the stadium-sized lives they both lead.
And the reception matched that exact stadium energy. Hot pink billboards lit up the streets outside MSG screaming, Justin T. married.
It's incredible.
Guests at the reception are wiping their mouths with napkins embroidered with the blank space lyric, so it's going to be forever. And you don't just hire a local wedding band for this. You have Paul McCartney singing I Want to Hold Your Hand. Yeah. You have Stevie Nicks, Ciara, and Fergie performing.
The scale of it is unprecedented for a private event. The total estimated cost was around $30 million.
$30 million.
Yes. We even had New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani confirming on record that the couple paid $160,000 just for city permits and to cover the police overtime for street closures.
Okay, I have to stop you there. How do you even arrange that with New York City? You can just, pay the city to shut down streets for a private party?
Well, it requires a massive logistical apparatus. You aren't just renting a building. You are essentially renting municipal infrastructure. You are paying for the redirection of traffic, the deployment of specialized police units for crowd control, and the environmental impact of thousands of fans gathering outside.
Wow.
It's a level of coordination usually reserved for visiting heads of state or the UN General Assembly.
And to their credit, they also donated $26 million to various charities right before the wedding, which softens the optic of that kind of spending. But I have to push back here on the core concept.
Okay, go ahead.
I look at a $30 million price tag. I look at 1,000 guests, the police barricades, the meta-glasses, scanners. Honestly, it sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
How do you actually feel connected to your partner when you're basically putting on a Grammy performance?
Yeah.
Does a spectacle of this magnitude kind of kill the romance?
That is the question everyone asks when they see these numbers, but I think we have to adjust our perspective. For most people, intimacy requires quiet. A cabin in the woods, maybe a small dinner party.
Right.
But for two people whose entire lives and careers are built on performing for tens of thousands of cheering fans in massive stadiums, maybe a quiet room doesn't feel like a celebration of who they actually are. They are energized by the crowd. The spectacle is authentic to them. It doesn't negate the romance. It amplifies it to the scale of their daily existence.
You know, that makes total sense when you put it like that. They are stadium people. Why wouldn't they have a stadium wedding?
Exactly.
Well, later in this deep dive, we are going to talk about a shocking podcast confession that completely reframed this entire timeline and proved that we didn't know the whole story at all. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.
Because as monumental as the wedding logistics were, the cultural footprint of this relationship is even bigger.
It really is. I've seen cultural commentators literally calling this the American royal wedding. It is the symbolic union of America's two absolute state religions, pop music and professional football.
It is a convergence of two deeply loyal, incredibly powerful fan bases. You have a Time Person of the Year and a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and their relationship has captivated the public for years now.
And just when we thought we knew exactly how we got to Madison Square Garden, Travis Kelce goes and casually drops a timeline-shattering reveal on his podcast, New Heights.
This was wild.
It was. This was during the Season 4 finale featuring Tom Brady. Travis is reflecting on the season, and he drops this sweet, casual confession. He reveals that back in August 2025, when Taylor made her debut appearance on his podcast, he was already planning to ask her to marry him right after they stopped recording.
It completely reframes how the public understands their timeline. He explained that he had his backyard in Lee's Summit, Missouri, transformed into a secret garden. So while they were sitting there recording that episode, the proposal was waiting just outside the door.
Hold up, can you imagine the sheer nerve? You're sitting there talking into a microphone, acting totally normal for the cameras, and the whole time you're thinking, as soon as we hit stop, I'm proposing.
I know, it's incredible composure.
And they announced it weeks later on Instagram with the caption, "Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married." It instantly became one of the most liked posts in the platform's history.
The reaction from the public and from the media at large has been uniquely unified. They're widely considered a supercouple with near 100% public approval, which is incredibly rare in modern pop culture.
Which is unheard of today.
Yeah.
It boosted NFL viewership to staggering heights. It transcended pop culture to the point where even U.S. President Donald Trump, who has, frequently been a critic of Swift in the past, was asked about the engagement at the White House. And he objectively weighed in, simply wishing the couple a lot of luck.
Yeah, it crosses every political, demographic, and cultural boundary.
But I keep coming back to this idea of public obsession. It feels like the whole country drafted this relationship in their fantasy league. Why are we as a culture so desperately invested in this working out?
It comes down to the concept of the new Americana. We live in a highly fractured world where it feels like nobody can agree on anything. Our media is segmented, our politics are polarized.
Yep.
In the middle of all that, these two represent an idealized, unifying cultural narrative. It is the classic cheerleader and the star quarterback trope, elevated to the absolute highest echelon of global fame.
That is so true.
They offer a storyline that feels nostalgic and comforting, yet entirely modern because she is a billionaire self-made artist. We are invested because, in a way, projecting onto their joy feels like a much-needed collective win for society.
A collective win. I love that perspective. Okay, so if you're sitting at home scrolling through your feed and looking at these photos of the Markarian dress and the old mine diamond, what does this all mean for you? Here's a final thought for you to mull over.
Let's hear it.
While Taylor and Travis successfully built an impenetrable, leak-proof fortress inside Madison Square Garden, the real magic isn't just that they pulled off a $30 million secret in the age of smart glasses and smartphones. It's how they've managed to make the entire world feel like invited guests to a relationship we actually know very little about. The cameras flash, the crowd freezes, but at the end of the day, the only picture we see is the exact one they decide to show us.
A masterclass in boundary setting, wrapped in a meticulously crafted fairy tale.
Beautifully said. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories to keep the stars shining.